Hi, I
Hello.
am Lisa Stocks, and today I am here with a special guest, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hey, hey, I'm Tashika. I am the founder of Jama Wealth Financial. And I am a certified life and financial coach, and I focus on helping corporate women learn how to keep more cash in their pockets so they can position it to wealth and create a life of freedom and ease. Jama Wealth literally means family wealth. Jama in Swahili means family. So I'm all about building generational wealth, starting first with yourself and understanding money and how to use it as a tool to create more freedom for yourself.
Okay. I told her behind the scenes, I asked why the what the name was, and she started to answer me, and I was like, no, 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 no. Say that I'm gonna ask. I want to know, but let's just let everyone know because I was interested in knowing where you came up with that name and what the meaning was. I was sure that there was gonna be something to it, and there definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
So all right. Let me take a second to acknowledge Vincent. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you for being a channel member. Thank you for being such an awesome supporter always. And let's get into our discussion of the day. Let me see. All right. So, first, this is a new question that I've fallen in love with. So, what is your earliest memory related to money?
Earliest memory. The thing that pops into my mind, this
Mhm,
is going to date me back a little bit. When I was probably 4 or 5,
mhm.
I just remember my siblings and I like finding pennies and going to like the little corner store to buy penny candy. So it was more of like, oh, you got money, you can buy all the things. And I remember we would just go around looking for little pennies to go and like just buy something, you know. I was like, that's probably the earliest memory of like money in a transactional way for me. It's kind of where I believe it's like my first memory.
Okay, that's a fun, cute one. So back then was like, were there actually penny candies or did you need like 5 cent, 3 cent?
No,
No,
it was
literally
literally
penny?
penny candies. I can't remember. I know there were these little like chewy candies that you can buy for a penny, and then of course they had some that started like 5 cents. But if you can find just a penny, you'd be able to go and get like a little penny candy. So that
Okay.
was the fun and like, oh, we found a penny.
Yeah.
Let's go get some candy.
Did you used to eat the gum that had the little cartoon inside of it? Do you
Oh
remember
yeah,
those?
yeah, yeah.
Let me see. I am Give me 2 seconds. All right, let me throw out another question so I'm not um so next question or next topic because I might be throwing some of my thoughts on some of these in there, but what's a financial decision that you are proud of?
Hmm. I think there's many, but I think the one financial decision that I'm most proud of is just one taking that shift in my journey to actually focusing on building wealth. I think that's like the catalyst to having the life that I have right now. Because when I think about it, if I had continued on the same path of where I was, I don't think I'd be where I am right now. And it was just that simple shift in I'm going to focus on building wealth for my family. And so I think that's like my greatest financial, decision that I've ever made.
Okay, okay.
I'd love to know for you. I know you're interviewing me, but can I ask you that question?
The one I'm most proud of, I would say it's really my accomplishments probably over the last, I would say, 6 years or so.
Mm,
Um, 'Cause I've done a lot of things that I hadn't been doing earlier in life.
yeah.
Adding real estate, rental property, opening a UTMA account for my daughter, um, really digging into the performance of my 401k,
Mhm,
IRAs from companies that I've been laid off from, the high yield savings account,
yeah.
um, ma doing more with CDs,
Mhm.
money market account, all these things that I was leaving money on the table, and now I feel like now I've gotten to that place. I guess I say all that to say is that I've gotten to that place that every last dollar of
Mhm.
mine is working for me, and I feel that it is in the best place. And my daughters and anyone around me, anyone in my household or, family, friends, anyone who's willing to listen, I
Mhm.
want your money positioned and working to the best, possible, credit, anything. So,
Yeah.
um, and let me take a second. I see a few people are watching from your side. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the show. I have a guest with me today. Her information is in the description. Make sure you subscribe to both of our channels. Give the live a thumbs up, and just everything is in the description. If you need anything, let us know. There are awesome mods in the chat. Thank you, Joe, for tuning in. And if we miss anything, I know we will get back to you.
Hey,
Um,
hey, Thrive and Go with Joe. Hey, hey. Some people know
awesome.
that.
Channel
Okay.
member, mod, the greatest. So let's see. All right. So we're you had us talking, you pulled me in on that one. So now let's go to the other end of the spectrum. What is the worst financial decision that you've ever made? And I can
Worst.
start if you need to think.
I mean, I think I know my worst. Well, I'm gonna give two if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
Because one I think it was more of because I didn't quite understand what I was getting myself into, and that is, I'm sure many people can relate, student loans. I just think I've said it's the worst one because of the lack of understanding, and um, two, taking out more than I actually needed. Meaning, so I don't know, let me know in the chat if you can relate to this. You're in school, they give you money to pay for your education, and then the financial aid office says, "Oh, you have a refund on your account," and you're like, "Ooh, refund!" And then you take that money out, and without thinking, you use it for your lifestyle and the things you want to do. So for me, I remember when I was getting my master's, had a refund, and I took that money out, and then I redid my kitchen with it. Now, yes, I was putting it into something that appreciates, but in hindsight, looking back, I probably should have just gave the money back and just paid down on the loans, because now being saddled with interest, that's for me, I'm like, not a very smart decision. One, because I didn't understand. So I'll say that's one of them. Um, Another mistake, the other one that I was thinking of, oh no, I lost my mind. The other mistake that I was thinking of, because there's so many, but I think the other one, getting into credit card debt.
Mhm.
The happy swiper. I like to say I'm a recovering shopaholic, because I truly feel like I used to get joy from just swiping my card. Like literally had like a giddy feeling when I'm about to buy something, and I really had to understand the root behind like what was coming up for me and why I was getting excited about shopping. But getting into credit card debt was probably another one of the mistakes, because again, I didn't really have clarity and awareness of like the impact of what I was doing and how it was impacting my finances. So,
Okay. Okay. Um, all right. So my top number one financial mistake is that I did not prioritize my education and focusing on getting my degree as quickly as possible. That's what I that's what I share as my number one financial mistake. So I graduated high school when I was 17, went directly to college, dropped out of college about a year later by the time I was 19, and for the rest of my life from then I was working full time.
wow.
So that put me in that position of having to, and I was already a mom before
Mm,
even getting out of high school. So I'm a mom, and now I'm working for the necessity of taking care of myself, providing, some support towards my daughter, along with,
mhm.
but Yeah, and then I didn't graduate from college. I didn't obtain my first degree till I was nearly 30.
Mm,
And so I was working all that time, but I call it underemployed, but you're going to work and I worked in an office. So I think that no one around me really even truly knew my frustration and the situation, how I felt.
mm,
I was working, the most basic job that you could have that, a job that did not require a degree.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't an accountant. I wasn't a financial analyst. I wasn't. Okay. So with that, I don't think that people around me realize how I felt, that I wasn't progressing. I didn't make much
Mm,
money, and I think they saw that I can put on a nice outfit and put on some heels and go to work. And I not to say that that matters. It really matters to me, but I didn't even have anyone encouraging me to go back to school, get this done, so you can. No one was really ever saying that to me.
yeah,
But
yeah.
finally, I got it done. But yeah, the if I would have graduated, if I would have obtained a degree by age 20 or 21, that
Mm,
would have made a huge difference
yeah, yeah.
for for that 20 to 30 age of being out there in the workforce. So
Mm. Yeah,
that
it's
would be
interesting because when you were saying that, it brought me back to, so I had my first daughter right out of, I would say 6 months out of college. And yes, I'd gotten an undergraduate degree, but I found myself kind of in a similar situation of just like working. I remember working at the hospital, like in a night shift, just trying to get money. My husband worked like at a youth camp somewhere, not in the same city. It wasn't until like right before I was about to give labor when he actually moved back, but it was when you were saying that, it just reminded me of when you're in a situation and now you have a little person that you are now responsible for, and the pressure and the feeling of you want to handle your responsibilities, and so you're going to take what you need to get that income, right? So like I was working at the hospital, working night shift, any job, even though I had an undergraduate degree, not really being able to be in the field that I wanted to. But I'd say all that to say, like, there's a lot of like for people who sometimes they feel shame of just working at a certain job because they can't get a higher paying job. I always like to say in those moments, there's steps that you can take, like focusing on one step at a time that you can take to level up. Like it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. And that's one of the things that I had to say to myself, like during that time, was like, it's going to get better. Like I can upskill or up level myself to get to that next level, right? And that's one of the things for me that I noticed like throughout my financial journey,
Mhm.
is I never focused too much on my current circumstances. It was always looking at what can I get to, what can I aspire to do, and that's the thing that pulled me through from making $33,000 a year to well over in the mid six figures, right? And I just wanted to share that because it just kind of brought me back to that moment of like, wow, like I remember how that was. And for the people who may be watching who's in that same situation, like it will get better and you can take the steps to move forward, especially with watching Lisa's channel and all the investing information with that she shares, and like how you can actually start positioning your income to start working for you so you yourself don't have to work, right?
Most definitely. I
Yeah.
want, yes, I want my money to always be making more money all by itself. Yes, definitely. And I like what you said there about just being forward thinking, and we can't go back in time. I
Yeah.
can't go back to. I couldn't go back. So all I could do was move forward and do the best I could, and hopefully influence and share my story with others,
Mhm.
especially my own daughters, so that they don't didn't they I always say I share the story and I tell the people, I tell whoever I'm talking to, now I know you have to live your life, but I'm telling you this because I've been through it and you don't have to go through it. You don't.
Exactly.
You don't have to, whether it's, obviously definitely financial things, but personal things too. Um, you can make steps to not make your life hard. Credit card debt, all these different things. Now, as you were talking about student loans, that's one thing that I did not fall into. I never had a student
Mm,
loan. I don't know how. I don't even know how. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know that that's how
mm,
most people went to
mm.
college. I cannot understand how I did not fall into it. Maybe I wouldn't have dropped out of college if I even knew that it
Yeah.
existed.
Mm,
I really didn't, 'cause, my mother and we paid for that first year. I was working in the
mhm.
library, so I had some aid, and then I had the on-campus job in the library, and excuse me if I'm pronouncing that word a little some of my words, my pronunciation, but,
You're fine.
uh and yeah, I was just drained. I was just drained after that year of going full time, 5 classes,
Mm,
first semester, and I didn't have a good setup at home, like, a computer that I could
yeah.
easily, save my things, revise it, print it out. I didn't have that setup at that time, and, I didn't have time to be sitting in the computer lab up at the university. I had to get home. I had to get home. I had to watch my daughter. Thankfully, one thing I've never had with any of my children is that they never went to daycare. I never
That's
used
good.
any
Yeah.
out. I know. I don't know how I could have dealt. Not even. I know I'm talking about it financially, but I don't know mentally. I don't know how people deal with that. That
You
much.
saved yourself a
Oh,
lot of money. That's all I gotta
I know. A lot of money and a lot of heartache because I don't
Yeah.
know how I could give my 3-month-old that can't even talk. But, with that, well, let me tie it back to what I was talking about. With going to school, I always had, like, my mom was working 4 to 12 when
Mm,
back when my grandmother worked 3 to 11 back when she was working. This is what years ago when my oldest was small. And so I had family members that worked second, third. We were working different shifts.
yeah, okay,
So
yeah.
it allowed my daughters to always have no more than mom, dad, grandma, big sister.
That's
It
beautiful. Yeah.
That was it. Like, and it was even a smaller circle when it comes to my younger daughter.
Mm,
I would say my stepfather probably never even changed a diaper because either me or my mom or my sister or her big sister were there like there was no one to do anything
like,
much.
relying on
So
your village. I love that. I love
yeah,
that, like,
yeah,
being able to rely on your village to support you. Because I
yeah.
was down in North Carolina by myself, and I luckily was able to stay home with my daughter up through the first 2 years,
Okay.
and then deciding, like, we wanted to buy a house, and they're like, "Well, if we wanna buy a house, I need to get a job." 'Cause my husband was working 2 jobs at the time, and I'm like, "Well, let me find something so that I can." But I love that you had that village, 'cause like I said, I was home with her for 2 years. My second daughter, I think she stayed home with me for, like, 3 or 4 months, and then she went into daycare, and luckily now with my younger 2, I have 2 younger boys, 9 and 4, but they're home with me now. So they don't have to go to daycare, and let me tell you, you saved a lot, um, because the amount that we were paying for my 2 daughters was about the same as my mortgage.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
And
know.
I look back and I'm like, when I look at my old budgets, I'm like, I don't even know how. I don't even know
How
how
you made it through.
we even did that. I'm like,
Mhm.
it's mind blowing, but we find a way, it's like we make it work and and make it happen. But yeah, blessings to you because that I mean that's a beautiful thing to be able, like I said, to have that village and to be able to have the support, and to be able to save from a financial standpoint as well to be able to save that money. So
Okay, okay. So, guys, thank you guys for everyone that's tuning in so far and chatting. I'm Lisa J. Stocks here with Tashika, and her information is in the description of my video. So make sure to like, subscribe to both of our channels, give this live a thumbs up, All the good stuff. That was my station break, and let's get back to the show. Now, let's see. Where were we? Now that you shared, your children's ages, let's go on to my questions about financial lessons that you teach at different stages. You said you have a 5-year-old is the youngest, or four?
Yeah, 4-year-old.
Four. Okay. So, okay, 4, 11, older teens. Give me some lessons and at what stage you start to teach them.
It's interesting because I always say that my kids have picked up on different things through the different journeys of me paying off debt, saving money, investing. So I always joke that my youngest is probably going to be talking about like, estate planning or something. Because my oldest daughter is very like anti-debt because she grew up during my debt phase. And one of the things that I did with her, I remember we went to Target and she wanted to get like a DVD, and she had some money, but she didn't have enough money. And
Mhm.
so I said to her, I said, hey, I will loan you, $5, and then you can go ahead and purchase it, but you're going to have to work to pay me back. So we got home. I gave her some little chores to do, and I wrote on the board, I had $5, Zeta O's. And then I think she washed the dishes one day, and I said, I'll give you $1 per task. So she goes, she cleans the dishes. She's like, all right, mom, I finished the dishes. Can I get my $1 now? So I walk over to the board. I cross out the $5. I put $4. And I was like, there you go. You've been paid. And she's like the look on her face, she must have been like 5 or 6. The look on her face, she's like, what? I don't get the money. I said, no, you're going to work to pay this back. That's what you agreed to. And I mean, the energy that she had was like, I do not like this. So till this day, she is 18. Till this day, she is very anti-debt. Like even her going off to college, and we're planning for like her college expenses. And when she got her financial aid package, one of them, she did get some scholarships and things, but one of them was I think it's like $2,500 for a direct loan or something. And she was just like, I don't want it. Like, I don't like, she literally was like, I'd rather pay for it. I do not want to have debt. I don't want to be, and she's going to school. She wants to be a doctor. She's like, I don't want to be a broke doctor with 6 figures of debt. So just that small exercise that I shared with her has made this imprint on her. And now with talking to her about debt, like wanting to make sure she understands like the types of debt. Like, yes, you don't want to get into credit card debt. You don't want to get into debts where you're owing and paying for your past. But there are other types of debts where you're investing for a return. But just kind of helping her understand that, because she's just like, nope. So even now it's going like, don't get sucked into the, hey, sign up for this credit card and get a t-shirt
Mhm.
type of
Mhm.
thing. Luckily for me, I didn't go through that because I actually had a credit card before going to college. But so that was one thing I taught my oldest daughter. With my younger ones, so my second daughter, she's very much into like saving. She'll invest too. We did start her off with a green light card as soon as she turned, I think she was 12 or 13. And so they would do a chore and then we deposit the money. But I've always taught them, when you get the money, you want to make sure you're paying yourself first. So set aside some money to save, set aside money to invest. And I was actually impressed. What I do with the 13-year-old and the one after, I actually give them a card with money that they can use and spend, just to kind of see their spending habits. Because the main thing that I want to do is to see how they operate with money so that I can kind of intertwine and or interject and kind of direct them the right way. Like what I don't want is to have my kids leave this house and not have any understanding of how things work. And a nice example, number one, I always say you need to mind your money and make sure you understand what's going on. So my 13-year-old had her, I signed up for a Fidelity Teen account. And we just had an event that we went to, like Black August in the park. And she wanted to go buy something from the concession stand. So she did. We got home, I think later that week, she's looking at her bank account and she sends me a screenshot and she's like, why does it says I only have $26 in here? Like I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my money. I said, okay, well, review your transactions and make sure you understand like what you spent on. So she recognized that she spent, 2 things at like a food truck. One of them was actually an error. I think on
Oh.
that account, instead of it charging my card, it charged her card. And so she's like, this isn't right. Like, I didn't spend this much money, but even just that example of her looking at her transactions and understanding like what's going on, and hey, I know I didn't spend this. Did you? I think their question was like, did you charge something on Amazon? Like, I don't know. I'll look into it. But again, just the activity of her going through, minding her money and checking to see, hey, this isn't right. I know I didn't spend this. What's happening? That's building that habit for her. So, but the two older ones, I think, right, those are the things that I've done. With the younger ones, I do talk about like investing. So they each have a UTMA account. And one of the things that I do with them is whenever I'm transferring their money, it's automated. But I will have them look when I'm doing a review so they can see how much money they've made. And the one thing that I'll usually say to my son, the 9-year-old, I'll say, oh, your portfolio grew by X% or whatever. Like, I'm showing him, and he's invested in Roblox because he loves Roblox and he likes giving his money to Roblox. So I'm like, well, if you're going to be buying from Roblox, you're going to have some Roblox stocks. But the thing about it is, like, for him, the mindset that I'm putting in, I said, what did you do to earn this money? And he's like, nothing. I'm like, exactly. This is what happens when you put your money in the market to grow and work. You can sit here and play your games and do all that you're doing, and you still have money working for you. So instilling those ideas into them. And then my 4-year-old right now, he understands the idea of like, I think we talked to him about stocks. I don't know if the concepts, he understands. Yeah. But
he's very young.
The other day, and I was just like, he understands. I think he wanted to download an app or something. And he said something like, oh, I can't download that app because it's not free. And I was like, you understand what free is? I was like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, free is when you don't need any money to do it. And I was like, oh, wow. So he's picking up on things. But mostly it's because I talk about it out loud. Like, if I'm doing my budget, if I'm planning for a trip, I'll say to the kids, like, hey guys, we're planning a trip. If we want to, put more money towards it, let's see where we're adjusting. Are we going to like pull back on our dining out so that we can, save for the trip? So that's more of just conversations that I'm having, like, every day, managing my money, and they're hearing and picking up on these things. So I don't explicitly like sit down and say, all right, guys, let's talk about budgeting. Let's talk about investing. It's more of just me living what I'm doing. And then, like I said, when they turn 13, I'll give them a card, and I want to see what they've picked up, their habits, and kind of redirect them that way. So that's kind of like a long answer, but I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Surprise me in different ways.
Basically, to sum it all up, just like that little teen special we had when we were young, like, I learned from watching you, but in a good way.
Exactly.
Yes.
They learn more from what they see us do than what we tell them to do. Like, hands down, if anything that I've learned from my kids, that's the one thing that I've learned. Like, they're watching.
Okay, so let's take a quick look at Vincent's comment. He's saying, one piece of advice I give people who want to go to grad school is to have a stream of income while you're in school, a job, switching off with your spouse, with going to school, just having a plan to be on track to not get into debt is what I'm getting from his comment there. Let me take a look. Let me thank Chad Money Minutes for gifting 5 channel memberships. Let me see. There we go. Thank you, Chad, for tuning in. I saw that you shared me on the Discord. That's what I was thanking you for. And thank you so much for the memberships. Let's take a look. And again, shout out to Vincent for the super chat. So let's see. Any other questions or comments before we move on? Investing with Rod, David, thank you everyone who's chatting, and let me know if I missed any questions in the chat. Please drop them again if I missed anything. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. But yeah, I understand you have but because of the range there, I didn't know the age range of your kids. So that was a question you definitely could handle, because it's not even that you need to think back to when your 18-year-old was 11 or whatever. You have them in all the different stages
Exactly.
right now, from, well before, lower than preteen to, is your daughter a senior or did she start college?
She actually is a freshman in college now. Yeah.
She's in, okay,
Yeah.
great, great. So let's see. What could we talk about next? Okay, so you mentioned Roblox. What is would you mind sharing a more foundational investment that you do for the kids?
Yeah, so foundationally, what I've done with my kids is they're all invested in index funds. So if you don't know what an index fund is, it's basically instead of focusing on buying like one stock or multiple stocks, you are buying essentially a basket of the stocks. So all of my kids have index funds that track the S&P 500, the largest 500 companies on the U.S. stock market in the U.S. And I have each of them in an index fund, and then I've allowed them to pick one company, an individual company, for them to invest in, something that they are familiar with. And I did that simply because I wanted them to associate, like, the iPhone. My daughter, that was what she chose because she has an iPhone, and
Apple.
she was 13 at the time.
Yeah.
But I teach it to them in the way of, you now have a part ownership in this company by investing
Yeah.
in this company.
Yes.
And just like if you purchased an index fund that tracks the S&P 500, now you have part ownership in small percentages in all of these companies in one basket. And all you have to do is buy that one index fund, and you get access to all of these companies. And so that's really the foundational that I do for myself as well as my kids. Is the basis is index fund. The majority of their money is in an index fund.
Okay, are you referring to FXAIX?
Yes, I am. So I have FXIX as well as my kids as well. So yeah.
Okay. If you didn't know, that's one of my favorite investments.
I love
Let me
it.
so I wanted to share. Yeah, my daughter, I do 20%, not 20, I do 80% into funds for her.
Yeah.
And Apple stock is one of her individual stocks. 10% is going into Apple stock. But she didn't choose her individual stocks. I gave her the option like you did. But yeah, she wasn't feeling it. She wasn't coming. I thought that she would come up with something, even if it was McDonald's, Starbucks. I
Yeah.
thought she was gonna. She didn't come up with anything, so I chose. And I often use that example of, she has an iPhone, like many of our kids, teens
Yeah.
do, but just like you're doing over at your house, you got to pay that iPhone bill.
Yeah.
You have to purchase new iPhones at times, or at least the one that they got started out with.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, what else are we doing? They're invested into Apple stock.
Exactly.
So let me take a second to, it doesn't show in StreamYard, but let me just mention who got the gifted memberships. And this has happened to me before. Chad got one of the memberships that he just gifted. So Chad Money Minutes got a membership. Life with Marlene, my guest, or my co-host from last night's show, Marlene Motivates, and GGC, SBK, a huge supporter, and Shade 757 got those memberships. So congratulations to you. And it's a new month. I might give some more memberships at the end of the show. I have them to give.
I love that.
So,
Investing with Rod says, dang, I keep forgetting about FXAIX. Like, yeah, don't forget about FXAIX. That's a good one.
and hi, Chocolate Drop. Thanks
Yeah,
for
hey,
tuning
Chocolate Drop.
in. Okay, let's see. Are we missing anything? Let me know if you see any comments or any questions that you want to highlight.
Yeah, Thriving Go with Glow says her son chose NVIDIA because he saw their sticker on his laptop. That's
Oh,
awesome. Yeah, I love NVIDIA too. So that's one of mine. So I love NVIDIA.
yes. Who wouldn't love NVIDIA? If we NVIDIA and Bitcoin, if we only would have known. Oh man, I was joking with my son-in-law, and I said, if we only would have known, I would have been putting bunk beds around here. We all would have said, let's talk. I would have said to the family, you're like, let's all just suck it up and just
For
come
real.
on over here. Let's squeeze on in here. and put all the money into this, that, and the other. Um, but let's see
Okay,
what
I know. I'm loving this Nightbot that you have here. Yeah, talk
night.
about that.
Okay, we can take a few minutes and do a little night bot chat. Let's, like I said, you teach me how to get the StreamYard connected to the Instagram and the.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, but that's off topic. But us content creators, we'll have a little
I
content
know. We'll
creator.
just
Yes, yes. Um, Okay, I'm so glad I asked a mutual friend of ours that I was like, can you introduce me to her? And he told me, you know who I'm talking about.
yeah.
He told me, I mean, I've met her, but I don't really know her. And I said, oh, okay. I thought I thought that you could introduce us. And he was like, no, I think it'll pretty much be the same if you reach out yourself or if I reach out. And I said, oh, okay, great. No problem. I'll just do it myself. Next thing I look up, he sent you a message.
He was like, let's get this conversation going. Like, let's
I guess he said, listen,
build a connection.
yes, yes.
That's
But
funny.
thank you so much for taking the time to come up here. And I'm looking forward to, what we're gonna do on your end over on your channel. All right. So let's keep it going. So we already talked about, okay, just off the top of your head, is it NVIDIA? What is one of the best performing investments that you've made in your personal portfolio, if you
It
don't mind?
it actually is NVIDIA. And the funny thing is, I actually did not start investing into NVIDIA until I was laid off of my job. So that was what, 2023? But the growth in my
It-
portfolio since then, and the crazy thing is, I took my 401k and rolled it over into a rollover IRA with
Mhm,
Fidelity.
mhm,
And so I did have some after tax stocks that was in a Roth 401k. And so basically that cash, when they transferred over, it was just cash sitting in
that you
Fidelity.
needed to get
Yeah.
reinvested. Mhm.
And so I said, well, let me go ahead and invest this. So I took a good portion and put it into NVIDIA and then put the rest of it into the index fund. And then I left it. I didn't add any additional contributions in there. And that portfolio grew, I want to say it was like 89,000, I think, when I went in there. Like right now it's sitting at 140,000.
Nice.
And by me not putting anything in there, just the
Mhm.
growth. And so when I say, and when I invested in NVIDIA and I just put it in there, I've actually not been adding anything to it. And so that growth like really just kind of like blew it up for me. So I'll say NVIDIA. Next to that would be Apple, because I've been investing in Apple for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so the return on Apple is like through the roof. But yeah, NVIDIA would be the one for me.
All right, all right. Yes, neither one of those have disappointed. I started
Yeah.
investing into NVIDIA at the beginning of 2024, before the stock
Mm.
split. And I was dollar cost averaging. I was taking it slow. I wish I didn't take it slow because it was like 500, 600. Uh, it was just like I could barely find, it wasn't coming down. There was no time for me
Mm.
yeah, it just really took off. I didn't stop, but
Yeah.
I didn't say, because I think that's what people do. They think they hear all-time highs, or they think, oh,
Yeah.
this one is what I am actually currently going into, tomorrow is going to be week 2.
Mhm.
The start of week 2 for me. I'm doing $10 a day into
Oh,
NVIDIA,
nice.
guys. So you'll be seeing an update on the results of this particular challenge that I am leading right now. So,
Yeah, I love
um,
that. And I think that's the most important thing, because I know with what I did with NVIDIA, and I know like it's been up and down. I mean, obviously it's been fluctuating, especially like early in the year.
mhm.
But that's the one thing that I always, like a mantra that I just say to myself is like, dead people are better investors. It's kind of weird, but I've heard someone say that before, like dead people are better investors, simply because they can't touch their portfolio. They can't do anything. So that money is sitting there and it's growing. And I'll literally just say to myself, like, just leave it alone. Just let it do its thing. You don't need it anytime soon. So
Mhm.
I just let it be. But I recently started just dollar cost averaging, putting money in there because I'm like, all right, this thing is going. So let me just go ahead and spread it out amongst my index funds, NVIDIA. I think in that one I don't have Apple in there, but yeah, just let it be. Just like with my kids, same thing. We consistently every month just put money in there and just let it do its thing because they're not going to use it anytime soon.
Mhm.
And the benefit for at least for my oldest daughter too. That's one of the things that I would say I'm very proud of because we actually did not start investing for my daughter until 2013, the oldest one.
Mhm.
She had all her money in the savings account. And by that time I had like started getting into investing. I was like, well, let me go ahead and put her money into some index funds. And that's what helped pay for a little bit of her school for the first semester as well, while she's like applying to scholarships. So like, I'm very grateful for just even making that step, and it's only been 5 years and just the growth that she's had to be able to support her. So
Yeah, I got started later. I would say my daughter was probably I like 10, 11, you know?
same,
Um, but I love that. I want that's one message I'd like to continue to share is that, yeah, the child you have a child, you got that Social Security number, uh, you get that pretty quickly after they're born. You can set up that account.
yeah.
No, it doesn't, we don't need to be waiting. We can set it up, and at the same time, throughout the year, we find money for those game systems and all the things year after year, the birthday parties, the sweet 16, the this, that, and the other, the proms, the amount of money that I see,
Yeah.
on the TikToks I was seeing about how much people are spending for the dresses and the at this and I'm not saying anything against that. I do those things too, but, you know, y I don't do that just that. Put some money towards investing. Put some money into savings and investing, especially investing. But, like my daughter, she's ready to get her license and driving her own car, and that
Mhm.
we're gonna have more repairs and need gas all the time and all of these different things. So yes, there has to always be a balance with saving and investing because I don't want her to be, as another thing I want to instill in her and everyone, that I want our investments to stay invested and grow, and
Mhm.
that's not our emergency fund.
Yeah.
Those are our investments. And when you're ready to tap into them, fine. But I hate when I hear someone, going into taking the penalty and taking money out of their retirement account because they need a furnace or they need something like that. And I've run into those issues. I've been through it, but I found another way to finance it instead of looking at my retirement account as the source of how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
So,
Here's what I want to say on next. I think this is something I see it too.
mhm.
So I'm gonna, for the folks on the chat and who's watching the replay, I'm gonna give you something that I've used with clients because this will like literally help you. When you get your income, I like to break up into buckets. You have your investments, your savings, your priority fixed expenses, and then you have your variable expenses. Before you put any money to those fixed priority and variable expenses, focus on the investments and the savings bucket first. And I'm even go a little bit deeper with you on the savings. I like to split the savings into two. One, for the emergency savings, that's like the world is on fire, something's happened, I lost my job, and that's when you tap into it. But the other savings, and this is what I find a lot of people do. I was one of them before I started using the system myself. Because for me, like when it was savings, if you anyone drop one in the chat, if you're like, oh, I have an emergency, and you just put money in the savings, but then you take it right back out. And I found myself doing that a lot. So what I did was I actually had an emergency savings account, and then I had a savings separately for things that we know are going to happen every single year, right? Those birthdays, the holidays, the
The
vacation,
property taxes.
taxes. It happens the same time every single year. So you just put money aside for those things. Like that will save you so much time. And I would say that's one of the things that has helped me on my journey of being able to separate out that I am first saving and investing, then I'm putting aside my emergency fund. I like to call it my freedom fund because I like to, it for me, just the thought process and shift of I'm building for my freedom. That just changes, of me putting money in there. It's not like, oh, I'm putting money away. It's like I'm building my freedom. So that's why it's important and why I'm putting money in there. And then just save for those things that we know are going to happen. And that way, when the birthdays, the holidays, and things come up, you have that money ready and available for you, and you're not having to think about dipping into your emergency fund. So
Mhm.
just wanted to share that because I find that all too often it's a pattern. It's like, if that can help anyone, I'm hoping it helps you tonight.
Yeah, there's no reason for it. Be prepared, not surprised. And the things that you mentioned are not anything that should be popping up as a surprise.
Right, right.
Exactly. So do you like name them the accounts different
I
things? Is
do.
there one that says Christmas? Is there one that says vacation?
So we have the Freedom Fund. And actually we don't actually celebrate my family. It's been since 2013 that we don't really celebrate holidays anymore.
Okay.
It saves us a lot of money.
Mhm.
But so we no longer celebrate holidays. We do birthdays, vacations, but I'll name it like whatever trip we're going to. So like if we're planning for trips to Spain vacation. I think one I had was like new car fund. So we know like I'm in the market trying to get a new car. So I want to save for that. So I name it. And what I do is actually use Ally Bank in their savings. They have buckets. So I have one savings for like the, we can call it sinking fund savings, but I'll
Mhm.
actually name it specifically for what it is. And the great thing about Ally is when you deposit money into that account, you can actually set it up to say, all right, I want you to put 20% to the car fund, 10% to the Spain fund, this percent to birthday fund, so that it is automatically, once it's dumped in there, it automatically gets dispersed into the buckets. Like I'm very much like automation, keep the
Yes.
tabs out of my head and let it let it do its thing for me. But yes, I name everything that I'm saving for the thing that it's for, so that I know that if I'm going to take money out of it, so I know there's situations that may pop up and you're like, oh, dang, this thing came up. Do I want to take it out of, it kind of makes you think twice. Like your friend's like, hey, let's go to brunch. And you're like, well, I don't have any cash. And then you look over at your savings. It makes you think twice because it's like, all right, if I go to brunch, then that means I'm taking from my Spain fund or I'm taking from my new car fund. Like it kind of gives you that, at least for me, that knee jerk of like, ooh, do I really want to do this? Because then I'm sacrificing this trip here. And I love experiences. I love traveling and going to, so for me personally, I will sacrifice a brunch so that I can go to Spain and sit on the beach in Barcelona. Like that's just my type of
Wow,
thing.
yeah.
So it just kind of gets you thinking more about when you're pulling that money out, is it really something you truly want to do? Is it in alignment with what you want for your life? Right.
The wants and the needs, making that balance. Yes, yes. Um, so what's next? What is next? Do you have any questions that you were thinking about throwing out there?
Are you telling me? Do I have any questions?
Yeah. No?
No,
Never mind.
I don't think I have any questions.
Well, all right. So
Questions for you. I'll
what
save
what
those for when we chat, but yeah.
all right. So we are both from the same ethnic background, let me say. So, what financial knowledge did you learn from your family? And so, let me say, as being from of West Indian descent, do you
Mhm.
feel like there was always a priority of small business, real estate, anything other than the stock market, or did you ever hear about, you know, the type of investments that we're talking about today?
Yeah, growing up, and my family's Jamaican, so growing up, no, like it was always like go to school, get your education, get a good job. Like that education was drilled into us, so that was one thing that is like, I know I need to go to school, I need to get good grades, I need to make sure that I'm doing that. Um, like being exposed to, now I was exposed to like real estate, like the thought of like owning apartments, because my um, grandmother and my aunts actually came together and they purchased an apartment complex. So that was something that was in my mind. So having seen that possibility, that's something that I was like, oh, I definitely want to have real estate one day. But aside from like stock market, what?
No. So do you have,
I don't know anything about the stock market.
do you have any rental properties? Are you a landlord or?
Yes, I do have a rental property. We're actually trying to turn it into so it was our first primary home. And when I moved in there, I remember telling my husband, like, we're not going to live here we're only going to live for 5 years and we're going to turn this into a rental property. We actually ended up living there for 11 years. And then we got our second home in 2019. But when we moved out, we've just kind of been renting it to people who were kind of like transitioning or whatnot. We're finally in the stage where we're wanting to like really fully turn it into like a rental, because we right now use it as like our offices. Like he's there. I'm actually going to try to turn it into like my little studio, but definitely wanting to put that more into like generating income from it like consistently.
Okay.
So that's the main thing. My thing is my goal is to have one property per child. That's like my vision. I want a
Okay.
house for each child.
Mhm.
Because I think it's important definitely having those assets that, I can pass down to them, not just the stocks, but the real estates, and the educational knowledge as well. So
Okay. So I I don't know, like, if you don't mind sharing, like what year did your family like come to the US? Was it like, because my family, I'll share first. Like I
mm,
would say my family came to the US like maybe late 60s, 70s. Um,
yeah. So my grandmother came over by herself.
my
She was,
grandmother did too.
yeah. I want to say it was in the I know it was after my mom was born. My mom was born in 1960. And I want to say late 60s because my mom was so young. She came over, my grandmother came over, got a job, and then when she got herself settled, then she went and sent for my grandfather and my mom and aunts and stuff. So
Mhm. Okay,
yeah,
so that's the way my story was supposed to go too, but
yeah.
my grandfather actually passed away and never came to America. So my grandmother wound up being a single mom here with her 2
Mm,
youngest children. But let me tie this back to why I asked that, the time frame. Do
yeah.
you so and I don't know, like, how connected you are with what's going on now, but do you think that if our families were coming to America in, say, uh, 2000, as opposed to 1970s to 19, 70 to 80 range around there.
Mm.
Do you think that they would be different about the stock market and investing?
That's a good question. I don't know. I
Or would
mean,
you think they would still gravitate to the real estate and, you know
I honestly like just hearing my family, I feel like they would probably still gravitate towards real estate.
Mhm,
Now one of my aunts does work in banking. And so I want to say when I was in elementary school, she actually went back to school for banking. So I feel like for her, maybe it'd be different. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like real estate, because even now when I talk to other family members, real estate is the main thing that everyone's like,
okay.
rarely anyone's talking about the stock market. And I'm the one like, listen, y'all need to get on this game, but like get in the stock market. So I think they
It
probably
is
I
something,
think
it is.
land ownership is like in their mind, like we need to own something. But I'm like, but you can still own something like investing in the stock market too. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, it's like tangible.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna, put our money there. Yeah, it's definitely more easily to deal with conceptually of I buy the house, I collect the rent, and maybe not even really be thinking about the appreciation of the
Mhm.
property when they're even getting started into it. That's just gonna come naturally. But at the same time, if focusing on the investing. investing into the right things. I always
Exactly.
like to make sure to stress that that growth will just come naturally too.
Yeah.
You invest into the whole US, the S&P 500 or the total US stock market, um, you pretty much can't go wrong. There
Mhm.
are going to be ups and downs, but we have 100 years plus of
Yes, of
history
data.
to see that it always recovers. Hold on. Um,
It's like buckle. I always like to say it's a roller coaster. So just buckle up and hold on and enjoy the ride. Like,
all right. So let me think. I definitely wanted to have that discussion or that question. And there's another one that I want to touch on. And I know we we cannot speak for all women, but
yeah,
I wanted to talk about women as investors because I know you probably coach and talk to a lot of women. And like I said, I'm not speaking for all people here. This show is not financial advice. We are just sharing our personal journeys, just having a discussion here. Um, but when it comes to being a female investor, I feel that women investors are usually more conservative, more patient than men. Do you agree? Can you give me a little bit of insight with that and let me know? I think overall, men are more interested in hands on and willing to take those risks when it comes to investing. I know every time I check my channel analytics, much higher majority of male viewers that are interested in watching the detail of my videos than females. So let me know, can you give me a little bit of insight on what you think about female investors?
I will say so for the women that I coach that come to me, they're interested in investing, but more often than what I find is that they're really they're in debt and they're like, I just want to get out of this debt. I need to have more control of their money. Like they're interested in investing. So when you ask the question, are they more conservative? I'm not. The women, like I said, the women that I have, they're not necessarily like scared of investing. It's usually they don't know how to, or they're just kind of so bogged down in what's going on with their finances of even trying to find the money to invest. Like mostly all of them are
Okay,
investing in
okay. So
401k.
you
Yeah,
can't speak from that
yeah.
perspective,
I
but
can speak for myself.
yes, let's speak from
For
that
myself,
perspective.
I will say
Yeah.
I'm very aggressive. I think I've always been aggressive with investing. Um,
Well, please elaborate on what you mean by aggressive.
yes.
You're not jumping into some random meme stock. I
No,
want to make
no.
sure that
Yeah.
it's clear that
So
what
when
you mean
I
by
yeah.
aggressive.
So when I
What's
talk
an
about
aggressive?
aggressive in that I'm investing in more stocks that have the potential for high return. But at the same time, there's more risks in that it's fluctuating a lot. Like, I mean, if you guys follow NVIDIA,
Volatility. Mhm.
yeah, the volatility. If you follow NVIDIA, you'll see like right now, I think it was up at like 180. Now it's probably I haven't checked recently, but I think it dropped to like 160. Like just those fluctuations. A lot of people will be scared to be like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" Now I will tell you, when I first started investing, and this is like my first time outside of my employer 401k account because I'm where I am now was very different from back then. Because
I just watched this video, so I know what you're gonna say. But go on, go on. They don't
and
know. So
I was investing in Apple, Google, I think it was like Honeywell or something. This was like early
mhm.
2012, 2013. And I was putting, $25 a paycheck, just putting it in there. And I didn't really understand, but I'm like, oh, my money's growing. It's going. I think it went from like $300 to like $700. And then at one point, I saw it drop to like $600 and I freaked out. I was like, oh, heck no. Like, I literally went in and just sold everything. Now, what happened after I sold everything? It bounced right back up. And if you know
Yep.
Apple is like, and so I always look back at that moment and be like, oh my gosh, like the opportunity lost. I was so fearful of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my money. Meanwhile, like I gained the $300 over the time that I was investing. So having been in that situation. Where I am now, like, I'm more calm with the fluctuations. Like, I don't even look at my portfolio every day. Like, I will probably check
Because
when
because
transactions go
I
just to,
uh-huh.
like, get an idea of, like, making sure that everything transferred as it needs to and that everything was purchased as it should be. But that's it. I let it do its thing.
You got to that place. Thank you for sharing that story. But you got to that place of I don't even need to look every second, every day
Mhm.
because you now know what to put in there that is
Yes.
going to be set it and forget it. If life
Mhm.
is happening, I don't have to be worrying about, oh my goodness, do I need to
Exactly.
rebalance? Do I need to sell this, that? You can sleep well at night because of the
Yes.
portfolio that you okay.
But
Is
it's a
there
lesson learned. Yeah, it's a lesson learned. But once you understand how the stock market works and that
mhm,
there's going to be those fluctuations up and down, but if you're looking like you're zooming out and actually looking at the performance over time,
mhm.
then you'll understand. Oh, okay, yeah, it's going up and down. And COVID it dropped, but guess what? It had like a new high, and then it dropped again, and then there's a new high. Like once you understand that concept, then it's more like okay, I can breathe. I know it's just doing its thing because it can react to anything. I mean, if this year's anything,
If
like someone can
Elon
do
and Trump
something and
said
say, tariffs, oh my gosh, and then it drops. So I mean, it just reacts to the outside things of politics and all the things. So once you understand that, then you're less likely to be so reactive, right? If you have a plan for why you're investing, your investment horizon, when you actually need that money,
mhm.
then you won't have to worry about the day-to-day noise. You're comfortable in like what you're investing in and you know what that plan is, then you just let it be. You just let it cook and do its thing.
Okay. Yes. Tell them when in doubt, zoom out. So
Yes.
back in April after Liberation Day, speaking of
Mhm.
those tariffs, did you do extra investing during the month of late April or you
Yeah, I
didn't?
did not. I just dollar cost average. Like I literally have automated setup and just let it do its thing. So I'm not one that like, oh, it's dropped. I know a lot of people like, oh, it's on sale. Like go buy. I'm not that type of person. Like if I have something that I'm interested in, and I'm like, oh, I may want to put a little extra in there, but everything that I'm investing is in alignment with what I'm budgeting for, what I've planned out of, how much I want to invest for the year. And I just put the amount set up an automatic transfer from my paycheck into my investments, and I'm with Fidelity, so I'll then set up automatic investment. So once the money deposits into my account, it then automatically purchases the
Yeah.
share of that I need, and I'm out of the equation. Like I don't have to do anything. Like I said, I check
Mhm.
it whenever I know that we've gotten paid and the money's supposed to transfer, just to make sure everything went accordingly. Because you still want to have an eye on it to make sure things are happening as accordingly. But yeah, I don't react in the past, I used to. I'll be like, "Oh, it's on sale. Let me go purchase a little extra, a couple shares of, Nvidia, or whatever." But now I just let a dollar cost average just sit and just evenly kill. Every 2 weeks, we have money investing for myself and for my kids.
Okay. I
Yeah,
do both. I keep to the regular schedule,
yeah,
but yeah, April or if something certain days I say, "Oh, I gotta go do a little extra over here." Because some particular news catalyst or something is going
something.
on. But with that particular issue that we were having in April, there were,
Mm,
5, 6, 7 things that I said, "I'm gonna give them
mm,
some extra attention,"
yeah,
because there is just such an opportunity here.
yeah.
So, let me take a quick second for a break.
Thank you so much. We do greatly appreciate it.
And I want to thank Vincent again for the first super chat of the day, Joe for tuning in and dropping a super chat, being a member for 6 months. Vincent has you a little bit beat, being a member for 8 months. And again, for Chad gifting the 5 channel memberships. I appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. And let's go back.
Mm.
Lisa, let me make you laugh on this beautiful Sunday. I'm working extremely hard on establishing a set it and forget it portfolio. Seriously, I am. Okay, if you say so, Rod. I think Rod is making a joke about us talking about automation and just, just sticking to those easy to not have any worries about those reliable investments that we've been chatting about. Is there anything else in the chat that you're seeing that you want to highlight?
A couple of people thinking about the Ally. Yeah, Ally will be your best friend if you want to save your money and separate it into buckets so you keep yourself organized. Ally is the place to go. Let's see that. It's Chocolate Drop says, I love that. Thank you, Tashika. Money Lady, I still remember you talking about a Christmas savings account too. Awesome. Investing with Rod says, this is a great live. I have an Ally account and forgot about the buckets. Tashika, thanks for reminding me. First, Lisa and FXAIX, and now Ally, loving it. Awesome.
Oh, FinCon, are you attending FinCon this year? Or did it pass?
Be at FinCon.
You will not be at FinCon. Oh, okay. But you've been in the past.
Yeah, I bought a ticket, and then so my daughter's birthday is next Friday, and she's in band. And so initially I was planning to fly her out to Portland with me, and we were going to go together. But then so I won't be there. So won't be able to see you, Anthony.
I joked with Anthony once. We both attended FinCon a few years ago when it was in Orlando, and I wasn't as established as a content creator. We didn't know each other. He was telling me one day, oh, I took a picture with this person and that person, and I'm like, Anthony, I was there. You didn't ask to take a picture with me. You didn't know me back then, but yeah, I've never had the opportunity to meet Anthony in person. But yeah, we've been going for a little over an hour.
Fun,
and I think I'm gonna throw out the last question of the day. Guys, get ready for we'll be wrapping up soon, but just stay for a couple more minutes. So if you could go back 10 years, what financial advice? Well, maybe not 10 years for you. Let's just put it back to those days when you you had your first little girl, you were really getting started with your job. What advice would you give your younger self?
Yeah, because I think I've thought about this a lot. I probably shared it before, but for me, would definitely be investing and staying invested. And I'll give a little bit more context because my first intro to like actually investing was when I got my first like big girl corporate job. And the HR person was talking about like the 401k accounts, and she put this little diagram up and said, oh, if you just put $25 in there, this is what it could potentially grow to. So I was like, okay, bet, like that's what I'll do. And so I did that when I was at my first job. And then when I left that job to move up to another, to go with another company, I actually cashed out my 401k because it was like, do I transfer it over? I know they gave you the letter and said, do you transfer it over? Or you can cash it out. And I was like, well, it was like $2,000. I'm like, I'll just cash it. It's only $2,000. I'll cash it out. But again, not understanding the value of keeping the money invested. So if I were to go back in time in my early 20s, I would say invest, stay invested, set up automatic contribution increases so that my money can continue to grow. Because it wasn't until I was in my mid 30s when I really got serious about, all right, let's get this investing thing going. So invest some more is what I would tell myself.
Okay, I think one of my let's see, here we go. I have one of my things says invest, repeat. Yes, I hear what you're saying there. Can you see it on the screen? My
oh yeah.
So thank you again for taking the time out of Sunday. I'm glad. I hope the kids are not just dying for you to.
They are their best behavior. So
they are okay. Have they been peeping in the door like, "Mommy, are you done yet?"
Yeah,
no.
I think they're. I gave my youngest an iPad. I think they're watching a movie, but I'm like, I'm on a live. Like, just stay downstairs. You'll be good.
There was one day my daughter, she wrote the note and came and was standing right over here. like, mommy, can I go outside? Mommy, can so-and-so come over? So like,
Where you
lady,
get the like
please.
little slide a note underneath the door. It's like I can't go over there and read that. I've had them do that before. They'll like slide a note underneath the door. Like,
Oh,
oh my
I've
goodness.
been on TikTok before, and I've actually seen people's kids, nieces, and like in the chat trying to get through to the person, like,
That is
auntie, please.
hilarious. Oh my
But
goodness.
yeah, every once in a while, there's been those times when I was live, and yeah, family was annoyed. Like, is she done yet? But thank you so much for taking the time out. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. I look forward to doing something else with you in the future. Know that you have an invite anytime you want to come and visit Sunday Stock Talk. You are welcome. And thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all of your support, chatting, super chats, memberships. I think I'm going to gift another 5 memberships before we wrap up. Let me see. Hold tight. One more second. For the month of September. Okay. Let me see. Let me jump back over to you. You need a question because you're getting quiet over here.
I was looking through the chat. Let's see. Fast Teddy 333 says, had my first 401k and cashed it out in 92. 5K and the 5K match. I wonder what that would be worth today. Yeah. I try not to think about that too, because I used to do that, but like, oh my gosh, I put in the little investor calculator. What would this be worth today? And I'm like, you were killing yourself, Tashika. Like, just let it go. But it's like, now that I know what I know, this is why I share this information, because I don't want anyone making the mistakes that I did. So yeah, like, don't beat yourself up though. Like, now that you know, you can shift and do different. Let's see.
Okay, 755 Media. She was here today. Congrats, you have a gifted membership. And congrats to all the others. I see Ashley, one of my Discord fam, also got a membership. So guys, please feel free to let me know if you have any of the members, if you have any questions, any requests on something that I can do for the membership, and I will make sure to get that done for you during this month. And hopefully, if you like what you see, you stick around. Now, what was I going to say? I don't remember. I lost my train of thought.
While you're thinking, I just want to thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on. Definitely we'll do one on my channel. We can have a conversation over there. But yeah, I enjoyed this. This was fun.
It was. It's for me, it's always easier when you have company, especially good company like you. So all right, then, guys, have a good rest of your weekends. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can keep up with all of my videos and live streams. And my guest, Tashika's information is in the description. Go ahead over there and subscribe to her channel also. And I will see you next Sunday live. If you are a Discord member, I will be live again at 6:15 tonight. So tune in for that on the doctorate level. And that's it. Have a good rest of your day.
And to investments, she make a lot on YouTube. lisajstocks. lisajstocks, that's the channel. Hey. If you wanna make some money, visit lisajstocks. Yeah. You'll make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit lisajstocks. Okay. She'll make it pop. If you wanna make some money, visit lisajstocks. Yeah. You'll make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit lisajstocks.